Good morning and a happy and holy new year to all of you. We are in the very first week of January of 2023. Today actually is the feast of one of the canonized U.S. citizens, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. Tomorrow we will celebrate the feast of St. John Neumann, another U.S. citizen and a bishop who eventually was Bishop of Philadelphia, also canonized. They were canonized a year apart by Pope St. Paul VI. What I'd like to do is focus attention a little bit on what St. Elizabeth Ann Seton and St. John Neumann really did to advance the faith and solidly establish, I should say, the Catholic Church in the United States. And that both were instrumental in establishing the Catholic school system that we still enjoy and benefit from to this day. But St. Elizabeth Ann Seton and St. John Neumann, in their own ways, were very instrumental in getting the Catholic school system organized and running efficiently and effectively in the United States. Now, there are several very good biographies about both of these wonderful saints, but the life of St. Elizabeth Ann Seton is quite edifying in the fact that she was born and raised as an Episcopalian. And she married William Seton, another Protestant, very successful businessman who unfortunately contracted a very serious illness. And so with their children, they decided to go to Italy to see if he could be cured of his illness. Well, unfortunately, he died, but while they were there, Elizabeth Ann Seton and her family were befriended by a Catholic couple, and as God works in marvelously strange but mysterious ways, through the good example of this Catholic couple, she converted, along with her children, to Catholicism. One of her sons, whose name also was William, named after his father, was in time ordained a Catholic priest and served in the United States. But Elizabeth suffered mightily because of her conversion to the Catholic faith. She was ostracized by her family, who were very staunch Episcopalians from New York. And so she really had to fend for herself and ended up living and serving, if you will, by supporting her family by teaching other children in the Baltimore area, where our first bishop in the United States, Bishop John Carroll, asked her to organize a Catholic school. And this, in effect, is how Catholic schools, Catholic parochial schools, began to take shape. They modeled themselves after what St. Elizabeth Ann Seton organized in the Baltimore area. Now, St. John Neumann, who was a Redemptorist priest, eventually was appointed the Bishop of Philadelphia before Philadelphia became an archdiocese. And, pardon me, one of his great efforts was to establish Catholic parochial schools in the city of Philadelphia, which was beginning to grow. And he was quite successful at it. The other thing that St. John Neumann introduced, not just to his parish, but to his diocese eventually, is the beautiful Eucharistic 40 hours devotion, which took hold not just in Philadelphia, but spread rapidly in the United States. And to this day, we still have an annual 40 hours devotion at our own cathedral. But these two great saints, I would urge you to read of their lives. It's both lives of these saints are quite edifying, and it's really a good lesson in American Catholic history, especially how our Catholic school system began and rapidly developed into the excellent system it still is today. And so while today we honor St. Elizabeth Ann Seton and tomorrow St. John Neumann, I would urge you to read about these saints. Their stories are different, of course. Every saint is different. But in the end, what they have in common is the love for Almighty God and His Church, and their willingness to sacrifice everything for the sake of their faith and the building up of the Church. So may you enjoy this first week of a new year. Keep warm, and we'll meet again next week.